Welcome, everybody. I'm suggesting one block for today. And bolster if you like to sit on one or use it for Shavasana. I think that's it. Just to let you know, today is a full moon. I have not researched it. I haven't kept up with astrology lately, so I don't know anything about it other than it's today. So just be aware of that. So if the breath starts to get away from you, I would suggest holding a pose in stillness, reclaiming your breath before continuing on. The breath really is the key to the practice. I say that all the time. But the breath taps us back into the soul. The breath connects the mind and the body. And the breath has such a powerful influence on all three. And what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of inspiration to continue this practice for our own mental health, for our mental sanity. I'm going to share a story that happened in India to kind of give us a little bit of a narrative to work with. So there was one point in India where we had gone to our second ceremony called Arti, and it's at the Ganges River. And this is a ritual and a ceremony that priests perform every morning and every evening at different points along the Ganges River. And these ceremonies, like I said, include priests, and they move in a clockwise manner, honoring the 4 cardinal directions. They're not telling us that, but just through my knowledge, I know that's what they're doing. And they're burning incense, and they have big fires going, and there's prasad, which is some type of food that's usually used at a puja or ceremony like this. There's players playing the tabla drums and the harmonium, and there's mantras being sung, and there's a lot of things kind of going on for the ceremony. And then everyone has a chance to create an offering to the river. And the offering is basically these leaves, big leaves holding these flowers, almost like a bowl of flowers with incense and a candle. And then you make your wish or your offering or ask for forgiveness or whatever it is when you put your offering into the river for it to flow downstream. And so at night it's beautiful because with the sunset already happening, you see all of these candles floating downstream. But anyway, the second one that we had gone to was at a different location than the first one we had gone to. The first one we went to was probably the biggest one that usually happens in Rishikesh, and there's a lot of order to it. You know, it's very defined on where you sit and that sort of thing. And the second one we went to, it was defined as well, but it was way more crowded, and people were being a little bit more aggressive. So there's, you know, different cultures have different ways of doing things. And I don't know if you've ever been to places like Hong Kong, but it's supremely crowded and people wear masks all the time in certain parts of Asia. So I remember everybody being masked. This was back in the 90s. And just crowds of people, and there's no personal space granted. So as an American who likes our personal space, it's a little like, but India is very much that way too, because it's overpopulated. And even though Rishikesh isn't overpopulated, it's just kind of part of the nature of the culture. And so people get a little pushy. And the way I like to think about it is, if you go to your favorite rock show, or, you know, any show really that has the general admission, and you really want to be close to the musicians, or you really want to get close to the stage, you have to meander your way and kind of push your way to the front. But even still, Americans tend to be very, you know, polite about it. India, not so much. So even though they're beautiful people, we were standing at this balcony overlooking the ceremony, and we were already packed in, and this older woman comes up and she's trying to shove her way between me and this other person. And at first I'm a little annoyed, but then I look down and see who it is. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. And I just patted her back, smiled, and I turned sideways so that she could turn sideways and we could both see it. Little did I know she had 4 or 5 family members behind her that thought they could also do this. And literally we were getting squashed. And the gentleman next to me said, hey, you let one in, you're giving permission for all of them to come in. And he was Indian. He was like, don't do that again. I'm like, got it. You know? And literally after about 10 minutes, I was like, this isn't fun for me anymore. I can't breathe. I can't really see. So I bumped out. Well, the next day, okay, I learned the lesson, right? So the next day we went up the Himalayan mountains, and it's pretty switchback. Is that what it's called? Switchbacks, where it's like this, and it's like a 1-lane road, and people are honking because you don't know who's coming around the bend, and it's a little gnarly, but we finally made the trek up to this particular temple. Now, all the other temples we've been to were pretty much, you shed your shoes, you go in, you go right into the priest or to where the deity is or altar is, and then you leave. You know, it was super simple. But this particular one was a really famous temple that a lot of people go for pilgrimage. And so a lot of the people that had taken the pilgrimage to Diwali in the first place were also going to be going to this temple dedicated to Shiva. And I've shared with you a couple times the myth on the churning of the ocean of milk, where the gods and the deities were working together and using this giant snake to stir up the water so that they could get the elixir of life, the fountain of youth, right? And different things were coming up out of the water. Lakshmi, the goddess, comes out of the water. The wishing cow, Nandi, comes out of the water. And then before the elixir comes out, poison comes out. And Shiva realizes if the poison is released, humanity is going to die. So he chooses to save humanity and he drinks the poison. So this particular temple we went to was where Shiva drank the poison and rested to recover from that. So it's a really important holy spot, right? And so we get there and I can already see there's lines and lines and lines of cars. The bus that we're on is going to have to turn around because there's no way for them to get to the temple. There's markets like half a mile before you even get to the temple. And I knew that the people I with would be like, ooh, market, shopping. So I was like, okay, everybody, no shopping at the temple. We're here for the temple. We're going to be tunnel vision to get there and get back, which was a good thing because I didn't realize once we got to the temple, we were going to have to stand in line for an hour. I had no idea. So we're in line and I hear someone from the back yell, Robbie, I was just letting a child through and now all these people are trying to push through. And I just yelled back, hold the line. Remember, if one comes through, they're all going to want to come through. And they were like, got it. So we were all like lined up, like it's passing us. We're in this line, you know. And then all of a sudden, we hear this blood curdling scream. Now, in India, let me go ahead and say this. The women are gorgeous. They all look like goddesses. Their skin is perfect. Their hair is perfect. Whether they wear makeup or not, some of them are really embellished, depending on, you know, if they're dressing up for the temple or coming from a wedding or whatever. And the saris are just colorful and bright and beautiful, right? This blood-curdling scream happens, and of course, everybody turns to see what is going on. And this woman is coming through who really is disheveled and emotionally distraught and obviously mentally disturbed. Her hair is untamed. It's hanging in her face. She's being carried by her arms. It almost looked like a scene from The Exorcist. You know, just pretty horrific. When that scream started to occur and we look back and see this woman coming, literally the line is parting like the Red Sea. Let this person through. And we honored that as well. Everybody was honoring that. You could see the line just split. So this person could go all the way to the front. So after that happened, the line's getting a little claustrophobic at this point. And I turned and I tried to make a lighthearted joke. Well, that's the way to get to the front of the line. And then I see that one of our ladies in our group has tears streaming down her face. And we all had our breakdown moments at some point. Usually they were happy tears or an overwhelmed amount of emotion. But with her, I knew it was a troubling cry. I'm like, are you okay? And she said, that felt really dark. And I'm like, yeah, it did. We have to remember when someone's this mentally disturbed, it's probably based in some sort of trauma. Trauma is the leading cause for mental illness. And there's another cause, which is toxins in our environment. And if you get enough toxicity in your body, that can create mental imbalances. And then a little bit of it is hereditary, but the hereditary piece isn't necessarily as strong per se. So anyway, I was talking to her about that, and then two of the ladies that need Reiki were giving her Reiki. And then I turned on my hands with Reiki, and I started sending it to the person who had just passed, who went forward in the line, because you can do distant Reiki. So I'm sending Reiki to the woman who was obviously upset. They're giving Reiki to our person in our group. And like 2 minutes into it, somehow I get behind the person who was upset in our group. And I just start singing, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And I just start singing it over and over again, which obviously is appropriate because we're at the Shiva temple, but really, I just felt called to do it, and I just went with it, and I sang it for like 10 or 12 minutes until this person turns around, and I see her gentle nature is back. She's smiling again. And I was like, cool. I was just prompted to start singing that, and she was like, that helped me so much. Thank you. And I really thought it was for her, but when I talked to my friend who's like a comedian, I was sharing this experience with her, she was like, well, you were actually also doing it for the woman who was there, and this being part of her culture, and this being the temple that it's related to, so it was really for all of it, which I hadn't thought about. But I wanted to bring that up because one, any of us could snap or get triggered any time of the day. And we're going through a rough period in the history of humanity. We're going through a time of a lot of stress and information overload. And it's not going to get much better the next few months. So this practice is really important. Moving the body to relieve the stress that we're holding internally, breathing so that we're creating the inner alchemy, and meditating so that we're clearing some headspace and we're not getting stuck in the things that are triggering or stressing us out. It's really, really important. Just one of us doing that can really create and hold space for a lot of people around us. And look at how many people are in the room today. So we're all going to be that grounding line for people, or that beacon of light for people, if we keep this practice up. So that's my encouragement to you. The last thing I'll say about the Om Namah Shivaya, my teachers would always say, that was one of the first Sanskrit mantras I ever learned. And my teachers would say, think about the way Shiva dances, and Shiva holds the drum. And that mantra is about stomping away, dancing away, getting rid of the negative energy you collect, the toxins that are coming at you, getting rid and breaking through of the veil of illusion or disillusionment of reality that may be skewed, you know, and it's getting rid of ignorance and getting rid of the things that are holding you back. But that mantra is also for creating inner peace, for breaking free from the things that are holding us down or creating a feeling of heaviness. And it's a mantra that also helps us to control the senses. So I'm having to use my phone today for the practice to record it, but I will repeat every now and again the Om Namah Shivaya just to remind you of the story, how important it is for us to maintain our mental health during this special time. So let's go ahead and begin sitting on your heels or a bolster, something to give you a little bit of a platform. Extend your spine. Rest your palms down on your lap. And close your eyes. The first thing I want you to do with your eyes turned down is notice what you're bringing to the mat with you today. What are you feeling physically in your body? Where is your state mentally and emotionally? And if you have any inner storms occurring, set your intention to use this practice to calm the inner storms, to reclaim some inner peace. Doing it for yourself, but also doing it for others. Let your seat get heavy and feel your feet pressed into your mat. Maybe follow your next out breath all the way down towards your tailbone. Even imagine it drilling down into the earth below. After you follow your out breath all the way down to the base of the spine, focus on your inhalation and start to lift through your navel, your chest, top, your head, perfecting and aligning your posture. And from this point, begin some mindful breath work if you haven't already, so that you're maintaining some control over your breath and setting your intention to maintain this control through the practice. Draw your hands together, thumbs pressing to the center point of the chest. And let's chant Om together once. Take a deep breath in. Om. And open up your eyes, and we're going to come up to stand. Last week I shared with you a practice from a local Rishikesh teacher. Today we're going back into my style. So spread your toes, root down through the soles of your feet, line and walk up your legs, lift through the belly, and bring your hands together. As you inhale, let your arms sweep up to frame the face. And as you exhale, gently dive down into your Uttanasana, your standing forward fold. From here, inhale, slide your hands up your leg bones, lengthen out through the vertebrae, look out with your eyes. And on your exhale, you're going to step onto your palms, step the feet back to the plank, immediately rock forward, lower down to chaturanga. Inhale, lift to upward facing dog. Exhale, curl the toes under, and draw the navel in to use core support to return to downward facing dog. Last week I mentioned that the Indian teachers called this pose mountain instead of down dog. And so remember, you want to feel as though you're creating that firm foundation for your hands and feet. And feel as though your seat is like the pinnacle or the peak of a mountain. Activate your pranayama. Whether it's deep diaphragmatic breaths or the Ujjayi breath, one that sounds oceanic. On your next inhale, let's step the feet to the top of the mat. Lengthen out, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, close back into self, bowing over and down. Inhale, coming all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana, and then exhale, Samasthiti. All right, we're going to do 2 more simple A's. Inhale, the arms sweep. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Lower your head and neck. Inhale, lengthen out, shine your heart forward. Exhale, plant your palms, step to plank, and immediately drop it down and hover it. Inhale to up dog. I'm about to sneeze. Exhale to downward facing dog. Hold and breathe. Now we all know our backs pretty well, and where you tend to round or shrink in your spine, see if you can put a little bit more effort to open up a little bit more spaciousness between each vertebra in that section, whether it's your low back, mid back, or upper back. On your next inhale, let's land the feet at the top of the mat again, coming up halfway. Exhale, roll it down. Inhale, build all the way to stand, arms reaching. And then exhale, Samasthiti. All right, we're going to do 1 more A. Continue. Inhale, open and expand. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, we're stepping back and lowering down on 1 out breath. Inhale, build into your back bend. Exhale, rock and roll back. Hold and breathe. Forward folds and inversions can be a calming agent for the mind and nervous system. Already that alone can be helpful for our mental health, so that we can be a sound mind, body. Inhale, let's land the feet at the top of the mat again. Exhale, lower down again. Inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, we're coming into chair, Utkatasana. And someone mentioned to me the other day, they don't like this pose because of how their shoulders feel. And I was happy that they told me that, because I'm like, you can always bring your hands to your heart. So if that's your case, you know, you don't have to have the arms shining up this way. Exhale, let's fold straight down the middle. Inhale, sprout up. Exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. That low push up. Inhale, open the heart and throat. Exhale, roll it on back. From downward facing dog, we're going to inhale, step the right foot forward and up between the hands. The back foot's going to settle down. Keep lunging the front knee, but you're coming up to Virabhadrasana 1. In Virabhadrasana 1, roll open through the front thigh, roll forward with your back thigh. Reach up to your side body, up to your fingertips. Exhale, hands down. Step back, to flying plank. So your right foot is gonna stay afloat. Rock forward, lower down, flying chaturanga. Lower the right foot, untuck the left toes, lift the up dog, and then exhale, down dog. Inhale, left foot steps through. Back heel settles down. Coming up, Virabhadrasana 1. Squaring the hips if it doesn't set your SI joints. Remember, Virabhadra was born from one of Shiva's dreadlocks, a personification of his grief and anger. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step it back, but keep your left foot afloat, flying plank. Feel as though the ball of the foot's reaching towards the back wall as you drop and hover. And then inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hold and breathe. Let your facial muscles soften. And on your next inhale, we're going to step the feet wide behind the hands, coming towards a squat, Malasana. So if your knees are temperamental today and are not wanting to comply, you can always sit on the floor. Bring your feet more forward and be like this. You can always come higher to something like the Kali Goddess pose. We have to get into the hips a little bit because it's the full moon today. The hips are where we tend to hold emotion. All right, let's bring the fingertips to the floor. Let's spin the heels back behind the toes, squaring the feet, folding in half. Good, now heel, toe, the feet more together. And then inhale, coming back to chair, Utkatasana, knees bent, arms up unless you need hands to prayer. And then exhale, Samasthiti. All right, we're going back in. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold over straight legs. Inhale, sprout up. Exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana, and you can go right into that pose if you don't want to pass through plank. Move through the vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. This time the right foot's going to step forward again. Back foot's going to lower. We're coming up like we did before with Warrior 1. Except we're going to change it up. The left arm's going to cross and hook behind the back. The right arm's going to hook below that. Let your shoulders drop. Let your heart lift. And maybe you want to stay here. Maybe this is a good space for you to be in. But if you want to humble the warrior, glue down your back foot. Bow the head to the inside of that front knee. And clip and squeeze the right hip in towards your center. Pressurize the feet and inhale, lift your torso. Remove your arms from behind your back. Start to take them overhead. Start to look upward and bring the palms together to exalted warrior. Affirming, I attune myself to the wheel of higher power. Exhale, hands down, step back, flying plank. Lower down, flying chaturanga. Land the right foot, untuck the left foot, come to up dog, and exhale back to down dog. Inhale, left foot's gonna step through, back heel's gonna settle. Starting off, Warrior 1. Squaring the hips, palms facing each other.
This time, right arm behind the back first. Left arm underneath second. Open up the chest. Exhale, hinge to the inside of the front knee. Maybe gazing towards the back side of your mat. Utilize that back leg. Breathe fully and completely. Inhale, draw up. Realign the vertebrae. Release your arms. Slowly sail them up overhead. This requires a little balance. Set your focal point with your eyes. Hasta drishti. Exhale, the hands are going to spray down to the ground. Spin off the back heel, left foot flying plank. Exhale, flying chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down. Now, as you're holding and breathing here, I want you to focus on your hands. Lately, I've been noticing, this is just personally, but you may be doing this too. I've been noticing more of my weights wanting to go to the pinky side of the hands. So if that's occurring for you, remember to evenly distribute it. So press a little deeper through the mallet of your index finger and thumb. And if you feel it all coming towards your thumbs and index fingers, move it outward towards the pinky finger. On your next in-breath, we're going to step or hop the feet wide to the top of the mat, returning to Asana. What's that? The left arm is going to reach to the left side and you're going to rest on the fingertips. You're kind of pushing into that inner thigh, so it's on the inside of the knee. You'll feel more sensation there. But then we're going to take the right arm and radiate it up and out towards the sky, gaining a piece of a twist. Good. Exhale. As you bring the right hand down, you're also going to push back the right knee, open up that hip more, rest on the fingertips. And then inhale, splay that left arm out and up. If that creates any strain for your neck to gaze towards the hand, you can leave it out. Exhale, bring the left hand down and straighten out through your legs. Turn your feet square moment. Wide stance forward fold. And then heel, toe, the feet together. Bending the knees, inhale, coming back up to Utkatasana. Exhale, Samasthiti. All right, we got one more sun south. Inhale, create your chair pose. Exhale, hinge over straight legs. Inhale, give yourself a little pick me up, halfway lift. And then exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, pass the hips up and back. Inhale, right foot steps through, but this time we're staying on the ball of the back foot because we're going to lift to crescent lunge. From crescent, head over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Exhale, bring your hands together and you're going to rotate to the right with the left elbow stacking on top or to the outside of the front thigh. Navel flying up, chest churning towards the hands. Keeping the right elbow lifted. Exhale, unwind, plant your palms. Right foot, flying plank. Exhale, flying chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. Exhale, roll it back. Be here first. Now left foot steps through. When you're ready, floating the hands in the air. Finding your balance. Focusing on breath. Hands come back to the heart and start to rotate to the left. Gazing over that left arm. Pulling down the mount of that front big toe. Squeezing the left hip closer. Exhale, unwind, plant your palms, left foot, flying plank. Exhale, flying chaturanga. In to up dog. Out to down dog. Hold and breathe. All right, inhale, we're coming through to squats. And then we're gonna add in some work with the shoulders. So we did the twist, starting to open them up. And I am not going to instruct birds of paradise, but if you really want it today, go for it. Basically, we're lifting the hips up so we can hook the left arm under and around that thigh. Right arm lifting up to cross behind the back, maybe bringing the hands to link together, and then sitting back down with your hips. Rolling the right shoulder over. That's really a nice prep for birds of paradise. Full moon, I'm not feeling it today. Exhale, unwind. And return to the heart. Ooh. Second side, hips lift, right arm hooks underneath, left arm reaches up in the air. Maybe that hand can wrap around to find the other. Sitting back down in squat, left shoulder rolling open, gazing off to the left side. Inhale, lift the hips just long enough to unhook the right arm, returning to Balasana. Good, fingertips down. Inhale, lift your hips. Turn your feet square. Heel toe the feet back together. Inhale, lifting up, Utkatasana. Exhale, Samasthiti. Okay, we're gonna step sideways on the mat. So you guys can turn this way, you guys can turn this way. You're just not gonna mirror each other. All right, so look down at your feet, first of all. Make sure they're square and even or slightly pigeon-toed. Lift your arms up. Gaze casually, make sure wrists are lining up over your ankles. Good, take a deep breath in, lift your heart. Notice if your feet are rolling to the pinky side of the feet. If so, come back to the mount of the big toes. Or do that in reverse if it's opposite for you. Good, exhale, take your hands to your waist. We're gonna roll the shoulders back and wing the arms back. Now, this motion here is what's important with the upper body. So if this is already feeling like a lot, be here. If you feel like you can contain that as you lower from your hips, keeping the elbows lifted, the shoulders back, the chest more open and then forward. If all your weight is now landing in the heels of the feet, shift your body weight forward so that you feel it also under your toes. And choose to release all mental worry and stress. Inhale, come halfway up. Extend long through your arms, standing them to the sides of the room. Exhale, take the peace mudra around each big toe, and then fly the elbows away from your shins. Bow your head back in. Another version of Padarika Padottanasana. Strong, vibrant breathing. You should be able to hear it, at least for yourself. It doesn't have to synchronize with another person's breath. And place the hands back to the hips, and then root the feet to come all the way up. Good. Now rotate your left foot 90 degrees towards the short side of the mat. Fly the arms up shoulder height. Lunge that knee and immediately come down to rest on it with the right arm either reaching straight above the shoulder or leaning across the side of the face. See if you can extend that top arm a bit more. Inhale, draw it up. Keep the arms floating up, turn your left foot in, take your right foot out. Lunge that knee, prop onto that thigh, left arm straight up or overhead. If it goes overhead, turn the pinky side down and let your thumb roll up. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, relax your arms. Those of you that have the right foot forward, step up to the front. Those of us that are facing the back of the mat, turn the back foot in, turn the front foot, and then step up. You got it. All right, so we're moving into Vrksasana, a balancing pose. So you could do it tree the regular way, or if you want to move into half lotus, please grab under the heel, taking that heel to the hip crease. Hold that foot with your left hand and cross the right arm behind your back. So regular tree, or what I'm demonstrating here with half lotus. All right, shifting your weight and really feeling the mat underneath the sole of that foot. Press it down into the grooves of your mat. Get your right leg solid and determine here, do you want regular tree, externally rotating the left hip, or do you prefer attempting the half lotus? Bring your hands to prayer, close the eyes. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And calm. And poised. I'm at peace. And calm. And poised. I am at peace. And reopen the eyes. Inhale, let your arms circle wide and overhead. Exhale, swan dive down, Uttanasana. This time in Uttanasana, take your arms to wrap around behind your legs and slide them down towards your calves or ankles. You may even feel a little contact between your belly and the upper part of your legs. It's okay if you don't. It's okay if you need to soften or bend your knees. Think about shedding away the things from our past, the trauma from our past, so it doesn't have control over us. Affirming, I am mentally sound and stable. I am freeing myself from my past. I am liberated and at peace. Release the hands to the floor, step back down dog. All right, from our downward facing dog, we're gonna lift the left leg halfway up. Notice how the arms may want to buckle. So push into your palms, stretch out of your wrist, stretch out of your elbows, stretch out of your shoulders, stretch long through your spine, out through that left heel, and then exhale, crunch your core, bring that shin behind your hand, slide your right leg back behind you, and keep your head up a little. Good, exhale, walk it out. You can come to forearms, you can bring a prop in, you can stack to prayer hands, or you can lower even to your brow. Steepen the hips a moment. Saturate these joints. But also help us to release away from any inner emotional storms. So it's not just the pose that will do it, it's your breath. On the next in-breath, you're gently lifting your head up. You're walking your hands back, separating them shoulder distance apart. Curl the back toes. Let's launch back, down dog. When you come here, feel the sensation. Feel how that circulation gathered in your left hip. Feel how it's draining through that leg. And feel as though with each and every out breath that you're shedding away any stress, tension, fatigue, illness, or toxins away. Lift your right leg up halfway. All right, put a little bit more oomph in your hands, in your arms, in your back. Through that right heel, and then exhale, squeeze into your belly. Bring that right hand chin behind your hand. Keep your head held up a moment. This offers something completely different. And there's some days where we need this more than the next phase. So I'd just like you to check in. If you need to stay up, stay high. If you want to come down, go low. Find your sweet spot. You can always modify on your back if needed. Continue your Ujjayi breathing. So I've shared this with you guys before, but you may not remember. I have 3 sisters, and one of them is a now retired kindergarten teacher. And she and I couldn't be more polar opposites of each other. And we were having a conversation a number of years ago, and it really impressed me because she was telling us that whenever a child would be having an off day or wanting to disrupt the class, becoming unruly, she would call them over to her desk and she would say, "Time for your breathing treatment." And she would have them sit and breathe. And what impressed me about that is she knew nothing about yoga. And the emphasis that we put on the breath and how it affects the nervous system and the mind, which can therefore also help us to control our behavior. But I thought, what if every kindergarten teacher taught that? How great would that be? What if every 6th grade teacher taught that? How great it would be. What if every senior teacher taught that? And what a skill it would be growing up and learning to give ourselves a breathing treatment. Inhale and slowly start to rise. Separating your hands out, curling the back toes, or taking downward facing dog. Those of you that have been on your back, you can come to hands and knees or downward facing dog with us. And now, if you're in down dog, lift high through your heels and hips to lower down to the knees. And then anyone in table, you're just going to bring your feet a little closer together and you're going to try to sit on your heels. And I know this does not work for everyone. This is not a one size fits all pose by any means. So if you need that block in between the feet, please sit on it. Sometimes people need 2 blocks, and that's okay too. All right. Now, going to lean forward into the hands. We're going to separate the feet apart, and we're going to use the hands. Now, if you were using a block, you can try this with a block or go back to where you were. But you can roll your calves away from your center, and you can attempt sitting in between your ankles. Again, if you need a block, use a block. This is a little bit more intense. for the quads, for the knees, for the fronts of the ankles. This is not a pose we practice a lot, is it? They did this in all the Indian classes I did, every single one. Think about when you're a kid, how many of us would sit this way in front of the TV on Saturday mornings? I don't know, not me. Saturday mornings, I had to get up and clean them out. The only cartoon that was left was the Chipmunks at that point, and that wasn't very great. All right, so we're gonna try a pose from here. Okay. So from here, we're gonna take the hands forward. And let's go ahead and squeeze the feet back together, the knees back together. So we're sitting on the heels again. Now, with your hands pressing, fingertips spreading, notice how the shoulders may not be quite precise over the wrist, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is shift the shoulders over the hands, and it's also okay to go slightly beyond, okay, for what we're getting ready to do. Some days I can do this, some days I can't, so bear with me. So you're pressing into your palms, and when you root through your palms, feel what happens in your gut. Do you feel your belly scoop in? So your belly scooping in, and then you're gonna lift your hips a little higher so that you can cross your ankles. Now, when I do that, I lose the strength of the arms, right? Did you buckle the elbows? I did too. So restructure your arms with your ankles crossed. Push down so much so that your core engages. Try to drag or float the feet through to Dandasana. Yeah, it's kind of fun, isn't it? Yes. Okay. All right, shake out your knees. Bend your right knee. So you can keep the knee standing here, or you can cross the foot over to bring the knee more towards the heart. So it doesn't matter. But we're gonna hug that knee with the left arm. Pull upward through the length of your spine and take the right knee behind your back. Twist. But make sure you can still openly breathe. Think about what we're trying to wring out of our system, mentally, physically, emotionally. And you can even repeat Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. May we be cleared of any blockages, of any delusion, of any ignorance, of any falsehoods. As you exhale, unwind. Straighten out your right leg, bend your left knee, standing the foot to the inside or to the outside of that leg. Hug that knee in with the right arm. Separate that left hand behind your back. Twisting the other direction. Eyes can be open or shut. So a mantra is meant to be an instrument of the mind to be used on repeat to distill all the other thought processes, all the habitual thoughts, replacing it with something positive, something intentional, like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Exhale, unwind. There's a story of a famous guru who died and he was always journaling. And his followers were like, we want to know what he wrote. He was such a wise man. You know, and they went through all of his journals. All he wrote was rum, 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 which is basically God, 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 God. And in India, on one of the streets near the Ganges River, I passed a man who was pretty poor. You could tell from his clothing. And all he was doing was rum, 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 rum. Talk about dedication, right? All right, we're ready for Shavasana. So, if you would prefer a bolster under your legs, a bolster under your back, or it is the full moon, you want to send legs up the wall. That's also a good suggestion at this time. Settle in. Pose of your choice. We've been allowing ourselves this time to really hone in on the breath. But in Shavasana, we're not necessarily controlling the breath. In fact, if you're really taking full rest, your lungs will be restful and your brain will start to become more restful. If you need something to help you to break away from thoughts or visions dancing in your mind, you can bear witness and watch the breath, or you can use the Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Let's start to deepen the flow of our breath. Maybe begin to point and flex the feet or wiggle the fingers, or even roll your head gently shoulder to shoulder. If you have a hard time sleeping tonight, remember legs at the wall can be helpful. Go ahead and slide the feet down the wall or hug the knees into your belly and chest.
Turn to one side of your body. Come up to take a seat. We're going to finish with a little breath work. So, Cindy, I know you used to enjoy lotus and lifting up. You're welcome to do that. If any others are familiar with Ashtanga yoga, you're welcome to do that version of it. But I'm just going to sit and we're going to pump the belly in and force the breath out. The inhale will naturally come. Try not to thrust your upper body. It's just here at your core. Okay. Let's sit up, close the eyes, and begin. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Draw your hands to prayer position at your heart. May we all walk away from this practice being more of sound mind and body. May we recognize the importance of the tools for this practice that can maintain our mental health, that can help us to reclaim some inner peace and inner freedom. Let's chant Om. Take a deep breath in. Om. Shanti. Thanks, you guys, for showing up today. Hope you enjoyed the practice.
I think I have another Indian inspired class for next week.